The only way you fail is if you quit. And so if you have TikTok brain, there's no better business for you to start than a detailing business, because you're going to get dopamine on dopamine on dopamine. I started about 3.5 years ago during the summer between freshman and sophomore year of high school, just as like a side hustle to get away from all of the jobs that friends of mine were taking. And it went well enough that I asked my parents that summer at the end of it if I could do online school.
So if you're starting this as like a side hustle, what is something that a range people can expect to start making in like their first year? And how long does it take for them to start making that income? Never. You're one of the first podcasts I've done. I did Ethan, and I talked to some guy, actually the co-founder of Kajabi, and that was just an organic conversation. And now you. But we have some good people coming up, like Sebastian Giorgio.
Yeah, good friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's coached me through some YouTube stuff like a year ago.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, great guy. Great guy. But all right, let me pull up my questions. So, welcome, Hudson Archer. This is the conversation where we uncover real paths that every day people can use to escape the 9-to-5 and build a life of freedom. Today, we have Hudson Archer, the founder of Archer's Mobile Detailing. He's personally made well over 7 figures and launched Driven Elite, a one-on-one coaching program that has helped dozens of people make over 5 figures a month, and some people make over $50,000 a month. Welcome, Hudson.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate you having me.
Well, it'd be great if you could give us a brief introduction. Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So today I'm 19. I run my detailing company. We have 3 mobile detailing trucks on the road, looking at getting into our first shop sometime next year. And then we have a coaching program with a little over 225 students alongside a marketing agency. And so I started about 3.5 years ago during the summer between freshman and sophomore year of high school, just as like a side hustle to get away from all of the jobs that friends of mine were taking. And it went well enough that I asked my parents that summer at the end of it if I could do online school. They said, sure. So that freed up some time to continue working on the detailing business. And I really just loved it, fell in love with detailing, fell in love with having a simple blue collar business. I never was the kind of person that could sit behind the computer and work 10 hours a day. Was watching podcasts of all these like successful entrepreneurs online, whether it be e-commerce, crypto, all these online business models. And it just didn't click for me. I was definitely not a computer nerd. And so started this business. It went well, dropped out of high school 2 years later, my senior year, just to kind of free up that last little bit of time that online school was taking. And then last year we launched the coaching program because ultimately I knew early on that the detailing business wasn't the end all be all for me. I wanted a way to reach people. I wanted a way to connect with people. I wanted a way to help people. And I knew that it was the entry point to a lifelong of opportunity in business. And so that's kind of been my background the last couple of years.
Amazing introduction. Very well said. And what I really like is that you started young. And so this should give people who are older and have real careers confidence that, hey, if some kid can do this, I should be able to do this too. Something else that's really important is that you started as a side hustle. So if someone has a job, 9 to 5, they can build this on the side into a full-time thing. And another thing that really resonated is that you said this is a blue collar business. I've talked to a lot of people in the make money online space. This is the first person I've talked to that has a hands-on, down and dirty, not some tech guru online marketing thing. This is something that you just roll up your sleeves, do it right, and then you can build a business without being technical. So I really do like that.
And the great thing about detailing as well is it's such high profit margin, especially early on. It gets lower and lower margin as you scale. Like at this point, my employees are out detailing for me. I have sales rep, like everything's taken care of. And so my business at this point isn't putting 200 grand a year in my pocket. It's putting like 120, so the margin starts to go down. But that's why we have the other businesses and so forth. But as you start, you can side hustle your way to 5-6 grand a month and have it pretty much all be profit, with the exception of, the chemical cost, et cetera.
That's really interesting. And one thing I'd like to point out is you have an Instagram page, and on that Instagram page, it's following like 70 something people. And then in the bio, it says, everyone we're following is a real student. DM them for proof. A big problem in the coaching in the guru space, if you will, is a lot of these people will fake their numbers or fake the results. So I actually reached out to a couple of the people on your Instagram page. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, one of them replied and they said, yeah, the community more than anything else was the most helpful thing. And they are really willing. They're real people. They're willing to reply. So I do applaud you for doing that and for being transparent in that regard. That's kind of that's not normal for people in the space that are trying to sell as many people as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the unique part about what we've done is one, the content that we film, like you said, because it's a hands-on business, it's literally just take the camera and show what's happening on a day to day. It's very hard to fake that. We have these details happening. We have these supercars. We have all these luxury cars that we're taking care of. We have clients that are paying us real money. Boom, here's the footage of that happening. And so that kind of starts the funnel of transparency throughout the whole like online journey that I've been on. You can watch what we're doing, and then from there, I want you to be able to watch and see the results unfold and see what we're actually able to do for the people in our consulting firm.
Great. And is detailing currently your main source of income, or has it evolved into coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So over the last year and a half, I've transitioned my detailing company into being more automated. So my goal was sustain the numbers that we were producing in revenue and then let the margin drop a little bit in favor of automation. And so the detailing business itself hasn't grown much in the last year on top line, but my involvement has completely escaped from it. And so at this point, what I'm doing is maybe an hour of calls in the morning, speaking with my manager, speaking with my sales rep, making sure everything's going through the pipeline right. And my detailing business, like I mentioned, it's profiting me about a little over six figures a year, which is awesome. About $10,000 a month from the detailing business, which is great because I don't have to do anything. That's a business that I started several years ago. And then what I've really been making a lot of my bigger money from that I've put into investments and so forth has been obviously our coaching company, marketing company, et cetera. But we are looking at getting a shop this coming year. And so getting out of mobile detailing, moving into a shop is going to allow us to get into what I hope to be a car customization business. I want to be doing everything from, installing exhaust, doing modifications to cars, having PPF, wrap, vinyl services. I want to be doing a lot of that. I want to be the hub in Texas for car customization and car culture. There's just not anything like it in Austin.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that this is a perfect illustration of the evolution of a side hustle into a real business. And then that real business evolves into something else. So if I got this right, you were a kid, you just started doing mobile detailing. Anyone can do this. That side hustle turned into a full business. You got that business to a point where it was earning you six figures a year. And then you took that business that was you rolling up your sleeves and operating it, and then started hiring below you to a point where it became passive income. You then use your time that you have from making this passive income to generate a second stream of income that is giving back by teaching other people how to do the same. And now you're going to use that time and income from the second stream and the first stream to build out another level of the business, which could be a full blown shop.
Exactly. And that was my goal behind the coaching company. Everybody that's in the info product space, that if you produce good results for people, it's a very high cash flow business, right? You charge upfront a large sum of money. Somebody joins your program, you coach them for X amount of time. Sometimes you even take percentage of revenue, depending on the business, depending on what level of consulting role you enter into. And so I knew that if I could get myself to the point where I had that authority, I was able to produce those results, we could have that high cash flow coming in. And you're absolutely right. I've taken some of the money that I've made from the consulting company to reinvest back in the first thing that really lit everything off in the first place so that that can grow and snowball and so forth. Because ultimately, you don't build enterprise value by having a coaching company. You can't sell your face. Like, yes, you can sell your face online, but you can't turn that into a business that's scalable and exitable. You cannot sell a business tied to you. And so the detailing business itself, as we grow that, expand, have a shop, maybe multiple locations, that's something that by the time I'm 30 or 40, I could have, a multi eight figure exit. And so that's my long-term play.
Yeah, I love that you're thinking about it long term and thinking about building a company that is sellable. My background actually is investment banking. So I used to have to try to sell businesses. And then all these people who their business is based off their face, they come to me and they say, "Hey, can I sell this?" The reality is no, no one will. If you're a key man in the business and the business is reliant on you, the only way that they would buy the business from you is if you are completely locked up and have to keep working within the business. So the fact that you're thinking about how can I build something that I can sell is really important. Another thing I want to touch on is the fact of this evolution that you don't know the path that starting a side hustle will take you on. So I think what people should think about if you're an everyday person working a 9 to 5 job and you want freedom in your life, you can find that by doing something that is manual labor that you can then hire below you. No, detailing is not, in fact, a passive income gig on its own, but it can be built into a real business that is. And so if you just start thinking about what am I interested in? What am I good at? What is a clear path for me? And you go down that path, you will unlock real businesses. You will unlock real opportunity where you start just scrubbing cars. And next thing you know, you have people working below you, a coaching business, and now a shop that you can go travel while other people work for you and come back and work on your own terms. if you're willing to put in the time and build the foundation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about income. So if you're starting this as like a side hustle and you've coached people from 0 to 1, what is something that a range people can expect to start making in like their first year? And how long does it take for them to start making that income?
Yeah. Your first year, you should be able to get between $10,000 to $15,000 a month by the end of that year. So my first full year in business, I started in the summer of 2023. So I had kind of half a year playing around, side hustling. My first year establishing myself as an LLC, growing the company, that being my full focus. Or rather, the half year was 2022. 2023 was my first full year. That year, we did about $115,000 in revenue, just over 100 grand. And so by the end of that year, we were doing about $15,000 to $20,000 a month. Um, and it depends city to city. Any place there is the ability to make $100,000 a year as a detailing business. However, how quickly that's going to happen does depend a little bit depending on the city. Different strategies apply. Places that are up north, like I'm in Texas, we don't have snow. And so the winters are not really that slow for us. The companies that I work with that are up north, those companies, we have to get them into a shop much earlier because they need to be doing details inside. They need to be doing ceramic coatings, PPF jobs, paint protection, all of the things. And so if somebody's starting now, you can get to your first $5,000 month from zero in about 3 months, just from friends, family, decent referral network. From there, the move is rolling over that capital into your first round of paid ads. Google search ads are super powerful for local businesses. And so if you make 5 grand a month and you start putting $500 to $1,000 a month after that into Google ads campaigns that are effective, you will do 10 grand a month by the end of another 3 to 4 months from that.
Okay. And so I guess if I just had to put this as a data point, low end expected earnings part time, high end expected earnings full time, just for an everyday person, not the exception, what is realistic for people?
Yeah. So if you're part time, low end expectation, you can make $3,000 a month. Simple as that. If you have a full time job Monday through Friday and you can only detail on Saturdays and Sundays, you can make 3 grand a month because you can do $300 to $500 worth of details each day, Saturday and Sunday. So 3 grand is kind of low end, and then you can make 5 or 6 grand a month total part time. Like we have people that enter into our program. I work with them from being full-time job and then only able to detail on the weekends. They get to the point where they're making between 5 and 6 grand a month. And that's the point where they say, hey, I'm comfortable quitting that full-time job. And so high end, 5 to 6 grand a month if you're working part-time. As far as full-time is concerned, I would say low end, 6 to 8 grand per month. And then full-time, about $15,000 a month without employees. And so you can get to $15,000 a month in the detailing business by yourself, but that is the point where it starts to become taxing, where there's way too much on your plate. You're doing so many details that you probably can't do that number if you're like 30 or 40, because that is a young man's game. And so you do need to start hiring employees around that point.
Okay. And we're talking numbers here. Are those numbers revenue or is that what you actually take home yourself?
Yeah, that's revenue. And so just from the solo detailer perspective, as a part-time detailer, you're probably profiting about 90%. The only expenses you're going to have is a little tiny bit of marketing because most of the part-time guys that I work with, you can get that way without spending any money on marketing, just through organic traffic alone, referral network, et cetera, and then chemicals. Once you get to about, say you're solo, 15 grand per month, you can pocket probably about 70 to 80% of that. You'll have to spend about 15% of what you're making on marketing. And so if you're making 15 grand per month, you should be spending about $2,000 a month on ads to make that happen. And then your chemical cost, a little bit of, insurance, maybe you have a vehicle, monthly payment and so forth. So if you make 15 grand a month, you're probably able to take home about 10 or 11.
Okay, great. And how scalable is this? I know you talked about how you had healthier margins, and then as you grew, your margins compressed. And the reason your margins compressed is because you hired below you. I believe that's correct, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, how scalable really is this business? It's kind of geographically located. I guess you could go national, but what does that look like?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, for example, companies in my situation where you have like I'm not taking my phone calls. I have a sales rep doing that. And so she gets a percentage of the sales that she closes. And then we have our detailers, we have our marketing company. I have a CMO, so I have an internal marketing guy that takes care of all my stuff. So companies like mine on the low end operate at about 18 to 20% margin, absolute high end pushing it very lean, 30 to 35% margin. And so going from solo detailer to company, your margins are going to drop from like 70% all the way down to 25-30%. But that's okay because ultimately, like Ben's saying there, you want to build some level of passive income. And that can do a couple of things for you. One, it can roll over into the next business opportunity like I've done, or you just keep scaling and growing the detailing business from there. And then 30% margin on $1 million a year is 300 grand. That's nothing to scoff at. And so, as far as scalability is concerned, the biggest bottleneck that people face is usually with that first employee. And the reason why is because people most of the time want to hire a helper just to make themselves more efficient. The problem with hiring a helper is that person is not going to be in it for the long haul, and you are not going to be able to develop that person into somebody that can train the next person. So my business got stuck at that point. I got very, very stuck when I was hiring helpers because I would go through a new employee every 3 months. I would literally have to hire somebody every 3 months because I would have to get rid of them because they sucked or they just weren't aligned with the vision. So they quit. They just needed money for a short period of time. And so what really allowed me to grow to the point where I'm at now is a year and a half ago, right before I started the coaching program, I was like, okay, I need to find an A player. I need to find somebody that's actually going to be able to train the next person and the next person after that. I need to train one person now so I never have to train somebody in the future. And that person's going to build our systems. They're going to help build the procedures. They're going to help establish the baseline for the company. And so that's what allowed me to, create that next unlock point, because now if he needs a helper and that person quits, I don't have to train a new guy. You know what I mean? And so that's what really helped me. And that's the biggest bottleneck that I see for a lot of people.
So an A player, you're washing cars. How do you find and incentivize someone who's truly an A player to get excited and stay with the business long term?
Mm. It has to be somebody that possesses intrapreneur skills. And so we talk about the difference between entrepreneur and intrapreneur. Entrepreneur is somebody that's willing to shoulder 100% of the risk to get 100% of the gain, which is like a lot of people say they want to be an entrepreneur, but in practice, having 100% of the risk financially, time, your mental health, like all of these things on the table to completely blow up if you fail, most people don't actually want to do that. And so an intrapreneur is somebody that's willing to say, hey, this is a new company. This is something that I see growing in the future. Let me be a part of it, but I'm getting a consistent income and they're taking care of me. But they do have a lot of that upside. It's like, look, if you were a founding partner of a massive company like Apple, or you were a first employee of Apple, of Google, of any of these big companies, you're going to have a lot of the upside. You're not going to have as much upside as the founder. But then now, say you want to start working at Apple. What do? You work at Apple Store. You make however much per hour doing that. Like there's not much of a path forward because the company's so built out. And so an entrepreneur is somebody that looks for an opportunity, says, if I get involved with that now, I'm sure it'll grow, and they bring skills to the table. And so as far as finding that is concerned, the number one tip that I have for people is do not hire somebody that's looking for a job. If somebody is out of work and they are looking for a job, there's a reason why they do not have a job. Now, sometimes you'll have somebody say, look, I just quit my job because I want to pursue my new passion, which is being involved in a detailing business. Okay, that's a rare situation, but it might happen. I hired my A player from another job. He was working at Tesla, and I knew him through a mutual connect. And so the other tip that I have is hire people through mutual connections because you're going to be able to get a referral. So if I say, Ben, I'm looking for a position. This is what the job includes. Do you have any friends that need a job that might be interested in that? Or maybe they have a job that they would love to pivot in their career. And you say, oh, yeah, I have this friend. Well, because I trust you, Ben, you're going to refer me somebody that's worth their salt, so forth. And so I've built a pretty good referral network through my client base. I found my A player because he was a friend of a client in my actual detailing company. And so I'm all about relationships and all about networking.
Yeah, I think the best way to hire is through referrals. And actually, another thing, I just posted about this recently. The best way to hire and get leads is 100% through referrals. And the best way to make sure that person is good is try before you buy if you can. If you get someone to work for you and in the car washing thing, it's like, hey, let's do a wash together. I just want to test you out. I'll pay you hourly for the first one or just per project basis, and then see how that goes, and then work with them 2 or 3 times before you hire them. That's the best way. And if you're in the tech space or another space, if you could just get them to do some test work for you and then even do iterations if you can, that's the best way to see how do they actually perform and how do they handle feedback. So yes, referrals are the best way to find leads. Try before you buy is the best way to test them because there's only so far you can get over a really good conversation. I've had really, really good conversations, horrible employees.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so I want to kind of circle back, in terms of you recruit someone from Tesla, how the hell do you get them excited about being an A player at this company of yours? Is it equity as a profit share, or is that the secret sauce in your coaching?
Lifestyle. It's all about lifestyle. And so the person that I hired from Tesla was working 12-hour shifts 4 days a week, which some people, because then you have 3 days off, but he had to wake up at 3:30 to start his shift at 4, and he was there until 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yep.
That's a bad lifestyle for somebody that's 20. You know what I mean? That's somebody that wants to have a little bit more freedom and flexibility in their schedule. So the number one thing was I offered him a different lifestyle, which is, hey, you're going to work 5 or 6 days a week, but you're going to be done by 4 or 5 o'clock most days.
Nice. Yeah, I have what I'm working toward is talking to people who crave freedom in their life. As I've done more research on the people who are interested in finding additional ways to make money on the side and the people who actually succeed, it's not people who are trying to make extra money doing surveys. It's people who are working six-figure corporate jobs who crave a different lifestyle. They want freedom. They want to travel. They don't want to have a boss. They want to make their own schedule. And they're actually willing to make less money, at least temporarily, in order to achieve a better lifestyle. Because what's the point of making 200K if you're working 12 hours a day? It sucks. Trust me, I've done it as an investment banker. I left, I worked for myself. I made a little bit less for a short period of time. I've never been happier. And then having that uncertainty in my life actually unlocked more potential than I would have had if it was a defined path in a job. So lifestyle is huge. It's a huge selling point for recruiting. And it's a huge selling point for why someone should start a business on the side.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And anytime we have an in-person training or event, we'll fly out to different cities a couple times a year and do detailing trainings for guys in our program.
Oh, cool.
Bring my team from Austin to come to those trainings. And so at the beginning of the year, we did a trip to Miami. The guys had never been to Miami,
Yeah.
rented a couple supercars. Like, I used money and a budget from the coaching company to pay for a really cool experience that they got to partake in, which is awesome. If we have a really big month in the coaching company, things are going well on that side of the business. I'll take my detailing guys out to dinner from money from the coaching company. Why? Because they're the ones that are allowing me the freedom to step away and start working on other people's businesses and have the success that I'm having. So, one, it's about a lifestyle change. Two, it's about rewarding people and genuinely being like, hey, I care about you. And so here's how I'm going to show it.
Yeah. Caring about your employees is a great trait as a leader. It's also an investment. I mean, having fun with people who work for you and making sure they enjoy working with you and they're super aligned with the vision and they can see and reap the benefits of it. It's an investment and you enjoy it and they enjoy it. Like there's nothing better than giving back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to talk about competition a little bit. You have a local business and you're teaching other people how to start a local business. Are you introducing people that compete with you? How hard is it truly to break into this space
Hmm.
if it's a local business?
Yeah, great question. Funny enough, I have 3 students that live around the Austin area that I've worked with. All of them are making between $10,000 and $20,000 a month as well.
Wow.
And so, one, every person has a car. Two, every detailer fills a different niche. And so some people become more about express service. Okay. I know companies that do express mobile details between $50 and $150 per detail, less about quality, more about just getting out there. They can hire cheaper employees so their margins can stay about the same. They can be profitable and they serve a niche that I don't serve. Our details are $300 plus. So I don't serve a customer that just wants a $75 quick job. And so, one, it's understanding that different detailers are going to serve different niches. Two, regardless of how many detailers in your area are serving the same niche as you, does it take that many cars per month to do $10,000 in a month?
How many cars does it take?
Yeah. 10 cars a week at $250 each is $2,500 a week. 4 weeks out of the month, that's 10 grand. You need to do 40 cars a month. How many people live in your city? How many people have luxury cars in your city? How many people, maybe they don't have luxury cars. Maybe, like at this point, a new Toyota Land Cruiser is a freaking luxury car. That's a $70,000 car.
Yeah.
If you own a brand new car, you own a luxury car. Full stop.
Yeah.
Most brand new cars are 35, 40 grand and beyond. And so most people have the money to spend on a detailing service. Not every person, but some people are going to go for the express. Some people are going to go for, full service detailing, custom detailing like what we offer. And so if you think that you live in a city of 50,000 people, which is a fairly small population, that's not a large metropolitan area. If you're in an area with 50,000 people and you don't think that there's enough to go around for 50 detailers to all make 10 grand a month, you're insane.
Mm.
My area, we have several detail shops that do millions of dollars per year, and we still are growing year over year. I still see myself as being able to open a shop in this specific area that has other competition and being able to break into the market. And so it just depends on your exposure. What are you marketing yourself towards? What clients are you attracting? How much money are you spending on ads? You can always outspend a competitor. That's always an option.
All right, well, let's talk about income stability. You said in Texas, it doesn't really snow. You have a bit more stability. Up north, it may be a little bit more seasonal. How stable is the income with this? Are there good months, bad months? Is it pretty stable? And does it depend on where you live?
Yeah. So the thing that I like to teach to my students that we consult with is one, if you live up north and you have problems with the winter or problems with
Mhm.
weather in general, like in Florida, it rains during the summer.
Mhm.
Okay. So Florida, even though great weather, has bad weather in the summer. And so every area is going to have different problems, but it's just a different problem to solve. And so during the winter months, sure, people might not be having you come out to do a full interior and exterior detail for $300, but guess what they are willing to do? They're willing to spend $800 on a ceramic coating that's going to protect their paint from the salt that's on the road to fight the snow because salt eats away and corrodes your paint. So, for everybody in the Midwest, maybe you're in Washington, maybe you're in New England, all of those states, the amount of times that we have students that are selling details specifically to the problem of, hey, your car's paint's going to get ruined this winter unless you do this, and then they present the solution. It's just a different problem to solve. And so, if you're in that situation, if you need to make 10 grand a month in order to keep yourself afloat and continue growing your business, all you need to do is sell 12 to 15 of those services per month. So, as long as you're able to target the right customers, get in front of people who have that problem, have a decent sales process, you're going to be able to make it happen. And so for inexperienced detailers, it's extremely unstable. Summer is always the time when it pops because everybody's just throwing themselves at you. Hey, my car's dirty. I need to get it cleaned. Weather's good, whatever. Like people throw themselves at you during the summer. And so you just have to be a little more clever around times of the year that are traditionally slower. But it definitely is a stable business if you have the right strategies in place. I guess the same thing can be said about drop shipping and e-commerce. Like, what parts of the year do e-com people? Do you have e-com background, Ben?
A bit. I was the president of Zendrop, so I
Right.
know a bit about it.
So, what parts of the year are traditionally slow for e-commerce?
Usually the summer are pretty slow.
Okay, why is that?
Well, people mostly shop in Q4 and then they roll over into
Yeah.
Q1 and January has some spillover of people still in the shopping mood. In the summer, people just do not shop as much because they're not buying gifts for people on average.
Makes sense. Have you seen successful e-commerce companies absolutely dominate Q2 and Q3?
Yeah, for sure. And they usually, if you sell bikinis, you're going to sell more in the summer, even if everything else is generally slower.
There you go. Change your approach, solve a different problem, you'll still make money.
Yep, totally agree. I think that's really good advice for people as well. Um, in terms of scaling up, what is kind of the number one problem? I guess a question leading up to that is what is the cap on what an individual can do before they scale? And then what's the biggest problem scaling? Is it hiring that A player or what is it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the cap for an individual is just their time and their energy. No person can work. Yeah, sure, you can book details from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But if you do that 7 days a week, even if you're 20, you're going to burn out and you're going to hate your life. And so there's a time cap. I really don't think that people should be detailing 7 days a week. I just don't think it's good. I think you should take Sunday off. Just do it. You need a day for yourself. And then it's just literally just time. And so if you can work 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, sure, you can probably get yourself to 5 grand a week in revenue. That's where I got myself to at 16, 17.
Yeah.
5 grand a week in revenues. I was able to do my first almost $20,000 month off of working by myself, but I hated my life. Like I was pushing it to the absolute top. And so that becomes the cap. And then from there, you're absolutely right. The biggest problem is finding an A player because again, most people one don't have leadership skills, which I didn't for a long time. I'm still learning and growing. There's a lot of things that I don't know. However, once you start solving that first problem of that first person who's going to come into your company, solve problems for you, take things off your plate, going to be excited to make the company better, that takes a lot of weight off your shoulders. And now you can actually operate as a business owner because business owners are supposed to be making decisions and using their brain to come up with solutions to problems, identifying opportunities, growing the company, new marketing campaigns, all of those things. Those are all mentally demanding tasks. And if you're physically exhausted, your brain is not going to do what it needs to do. It's not going to serve you. And so that's the biggest problem to solve is getting that first person to take stuff off your plate.
Hudson, you said you're 19?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's really great that you said you did not have the leadership skills, but now you do. I think there's people that you could say are born leaders, more or less. But at the end of the day, the skills of being a leader are a muscle that is developed and exercised over time with practice. And so you did not start off, and you're still extremely young, and it's incredible what you've been able to do, especially building a business and having the foresight of creating something that you could sell. You could only do that if you have leadership skills that you develop over time. And it took you hiring, I don't know how many people that churned over and over again before you learned how to recruit and hire and keep someone working below you so that you could scale a business. So I do think it's really important for people to get out there and start doing leadership things because you probably won't do it right the first time. And it's a muscle that you have to train to become stronger over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in terms of getting started, how much does it cost in terms of the equipment, the soap? I mean, do you need a vehicle? What does it look like to get started? How much money do you need?
Yeah. A fair approach is between $500 and $600. And so if you search up how to start a mobile detailing business, my video is the first one that pops up. And in that video, I had a $500 budget. And so I went around, I went to Lowe's, Home Depot, O'Reilly's, ordered a couple things on Amazon. $500 budget will get you what you need to get started. And then from there, you start reinvesting in the business to get better products, better tools that make you more efficient, things that allow you to offer services that are higher ticket and so forth. But I started with, I think my exact number when I started, I think I spent like $610.
Mm.
But you could start with 500.
So, how long does it take to start winning clients? And then how long does it take to break even on that $500 to $600?
Yeah. So you really only need like 2 or 3 full details in order to break even and be in the green. And so I started with just friends and family. Exhausting your referral network is the number one thing that you need to do. And people are usually afraid to ask friends and family for money. Alex Hormozy has a quote, a lot of people have heard it. A real friend is going to pay full price and leave a 5-star review. And so if you can exhaust your referral network, that's super, super beneficial. A freebie that I'll give you as well is every detail that you complete, you need to take before and after pictures and then give that customer an incentive to post it on their neighborhood Facebook. And so what this does is this allows the value of one customer to be exceptionally more than the $200 they pay you. Because imagine for a second, Ben, you get your detail. You post it on your Facebook page. You say, hey, this guy Hudson, he just did my car. He's with this company and they're offering 20% off to people that get a detail booked through, the link below or through my Facebook post. Okay, you paid me $200. What if 2 other people see that post the next week and pay me another $200? Now you, Ben, as a customer is worth $600 to me. And so I've just multiplied your total value to my company and my business by just having a couple basic incentives in place. And so that's the strategy that I use initially to grow. And then from there, it just becomes a paid ads game because that makes the most predictable income. You put $1 in, you get $4 out, et cetera. You can do that infinitely.
I absolutely love you saying making a customer more valuable than the money they paid you. I think this is one thing that I've always understood at a deeper level, but no one's really articulated it the way that you have. And so I think that's absolutely brilliant. It's how can I make this person more valuable than just the dollars? And reviews is an amazing way to do that. Asking people for referrals is an amazing way to do that. You can just ask your customers, hey, did you like this? If so, can you leave a review? Also, do you know anyone that I could do this for? Like, I'm just starting off. I'm a new guy. I'm super ambitious. If you really liked it, I'm happy to do this. You can offer discounts, incentives, whatever. And then you get a customer that's then going to be a recurring customer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there's people in the info and coaching space that are watching this. And so I'll give you a freebie as well. Same piece of advice applies to you. If you want to make more money as a coach, serve your people well, get testimonials, because then that person is not just going to be that initial dollar amount that they pay you. Biggest problem coaches have and people in the info space is they're just chasing the dollar.
Yeah.
You just chase the dollar, you're going to burn the people that buy your program. Say maybe you can sell 100 at 5 grand a piece. Great, you made $500,000. Congratulations. That's a lot of money. But let's say almost none of those people are happy with your product. You have no testimonials. You actually have negative testimonials. If somebody reaches out to that person and says, "Hey, what was your experience?" You're not going to make any additional sales. Your business is going to go under very quick. And that's what happens with almost every single person in the info space. So across the board, whatever business you have, one, serve people well, because that's the foundation for a testimonial. Two, collect the testimonial, have a system to document it. And then three, use that testimonial as part of your marketing, because that's what's going to push people over the edge and allow you to set yourself apart from the competition.
Yeah, this is another thing I absolutely love. Serve people well. It has karma. It'll return to you. Get
Absolutely.
those testimonials, those referrals. And the thing that I'm building, I'm not sure if you even know this, Hudson. I'm essentially building a review platform for people in the info space, people who have courses. There's nowhere that you can single place just look up whether or not this is someone that you can trust. You can ask people on Reddit, but if you have a good business, you're a good coach, you have a good course, you serve people well, I'm going to make sure that you are recognized for your efforts. And I'm going to be sending out awards to people similar to how ClickFunnels does to the people who are the most trustworthy. However, if you are giving people low value, if you're scamming people, you're going to get called out on my platform and you're going to go out of business. The days of people not adding value and selling things for high ticket without delivering value are officially over. And I'm making sure of that. So 100%, make sure that you serve your customers well. If you do, we will reward you. If you don't, we personally will penalize you.
I love it.
All right, great. So I kind of want to talk about lifestyle. And you've talked about the early days where you just really rolled up your sleeves and you were grinding, your life was difficult, and the evolution into now that you have a lot more flexibility. I guess, what is a range of time that someone should be prepared to invest in order to succeed? And let's talk about to start, and then how much to go full time, and then how much to make six figures.
Mm. Love it. So early on, this is what my life looked like. I would wake up around 6 a.m. I would get my detailing chemical between 6 and 7. I would get my detailing chemicals ready for the day. That'd take probably 30 minutes or so to fill everything up, make sure my laundry was good. I would get in my detailing van. I'd have my first appointment around 8:30 or 9. From there, I would detail from about 9 to 6 or 7 all day, make between $800 to $1,000. This was full time. And then after that, I would have some like lunch, a lunchbox packed. I would eat some food right before going to the gym. I'd go to the gym. I'd come home from the gym around 9 and I would go to sleep. And I did that 6 days a week. Sunday, I went to church, hung out with friends. That was it. That was my life for like a year and a half.
When did you do marketing?
When did I do marketing? I had a marketing agency do everything for me.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I would get clips of details that I was on. That was my content. Boom, I'd send it to them.
Okay, and did you do that from the beginning, or did you get to a certain point of profitability?
No, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing for the first 6 months. I was just doing friends, family, like just trying to figure it out. And then I watched a show called Undercover Billionaire. Have you seen that show?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
And so it gave me the idea. There was an episode where he talked about like they had $100 to start and they didn't have anything and they had to build a business from scratch. And so one of the things that he did and he taught on one of those episodes was if you don't have money, trade your services or trade something of value or promise more money in the future in exchange for a service now. And so what I did is I approached the marketing company and I said, look, I can't pay you the $3,000 that you need to start up. So can I give you 10% of my revenue until it pays you 5 grand? He's chewing. They took a chance on me.
Yeah.
And so I ended up paying $2,000 more than I would have otherwise, but I didn't have 3 grand. So it wouldn't have happened in the first place. It's the same thing as taking out a loan.
Yeah.
If you don't have 50 grand and you know that if you take out 50 grand with maybe, 10% interest, you have to pay them back 55, but that 50 grand will make you 100. Who cares that you're throwing 5 grand in interest to a bank? You're making $45,000 you otherwise would not have made. And so that was the mentality that I had after watching that episode. And so that's what my time allotment looked like. And funny enough, I was talking with a friend about this yesterday. you get to a point in business where you start unlocking leverage. And leverage is a dangerous thing because the more leverage you have, the less you have to work. And the less you have to work, the more susceptible you are to feeling unproductive, feeling like you're being lazy, not doing what you need to do. Because I was so used to working 10, 12-hour days, 6 days a week for a year and a half. I come out of that and then I start my coaching program and I start working 12 hours a day on that content, filming course material, coaching. I was doing 8 hours a day of coaching calls at Wowie. And so for like 2.5 years, whether it was my detailing business or the coaching business, I always had something taking 10 hours a day. And then for the last 6 months, I haven't had that because I've built leverage in both of those places. We've started taking on less and less clients in the coaching program so that I can focus on only taking on higher quality clients, people that I can grow with over time. And so I've had a little bit less on my plate as far as time is concerned with more leverage. And that's actually made it much more difficult as far as lifestyle is concerned because you have more time. You don't know what to fill it with and you start feeling unproductive. Because if you're somebody like me, like you, if you're an entrepreneur at heart, you want to feel like you're getting something done every hour of the day, and that doesn't happen anymore. And so that's kind of a progression of what it's looked like for me.
Yeah, I think you might be preaching to the wrong audience, not me, but a lot of people are looking for a lifestyle where they don't have to be productive. I think once they unlock that feeling of I do X, I get Y, it becomes so addicting that they'll realize I just want to do more of that. But everyday people at home are probably like, the hell is this guy talking about? Having too much time is difficult. It's a problem that only a very select few people can understand. And you and I are on the same page, but I don't know if anyone at home could just relate to that.
Well, ultimately, if you want to be successful enough, if you truly want it, you will have to program your mind to take the actions that lead to success, which is what? Dedicating yourself day in and day out. And so if you program your mind, because ultimately the mind is programmable, you can think and believe whatever you want to believe. And so if you program your mind to do the actions that are needed in order to become successful, then eventually your mind's already going to be programmed to say, hey, I need to be doing something productive. And so coming off of that's very difficult.
Yeah. One thing I do want to point out though is there are a lot of people who have that mindset, and then what they'll do is they'll try something and they'll start it and they won't finish it, and they'll try something else and start it but not finish it. I believe that the thing that separates what you actually see through from what you don't is what is aligned with your nature. So there's one thing, which is the gamification. If you immediately start doing something and get results, you want to do more of it. I think that's something that this business uniquely has uh, a way of doing because you immediately start and you get that dopamine hit. With something like e-commerce, there's a lot of keep experimenting without getting results until you get results. That's very difficult to push through. However, what people should be asking themselves is, what is it inside me that I can do literally forever without getting bored? That once I start doing it, it's hard for me to go to bed because I don't want to stop doing it. And then how can I use that one thing to make money? Do you think that this particular business model for you, Hudson Archer, was gamification? I started doing this, I got output. Or is there something that you have unique talent for that you loved this particular business?
It was gamified. Totally. Because if you go do a detail, you spend 3, 4 hours on a detail. One, regardless of the money that you're making on that job, you get to see the transformation from a dirty car to a brand new car.
Yeah.
That's exciting in and of itself for somebody that's like detail oriented.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, I remember when I was young, 8 or 9 years old, I had this one friend, Noah. We would go over to his house and we would always like reorganize his room because he was like a creative type. He would always have art projects all over the place. And we found it fun to go reorganize his room every time I came over. And so people like that are just interested in making things neat, tidy, and clean. If you're an organized kind of person, you're going to find it easy and rewarding just to make something clean, regardless of what you get paid. And so you layer on the dopamine of $300 at the end of a 3-hour job.
Yeah.
Plus, you made this thing look nice. Not to mention, when you start working on nice cars, you start detailing Ferraris, McLarens, Lamborghinis, G-Wagons. It's really fun and satisfying. Really is. A lot of fun because you start being around, and it's not only is it the nice car, it's the nice house, and you're usually on top of a hill in a nice part of town, and there's a lake over there, and there's some mountains over here. Like, you start to experience little tastes of the lifestyle that you want from your business in the future just by being there, taking care of somebody that's super wealthy, taking care of their car. And so all of those things are a lot of dopamine, quite frankly. And so if you have TikTok brain, there's no better business for you to start than a detailing business because you're going to get dopamine on dopamine on dopamine.
There's so much great stuff in there. I'm just taking notes real quick so I don't forget.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So a couple things there. First of all, you talked about the dopamine hits and the gamification. You immediately do something, you immediately get the result. As soon as you get the car, you get the money. There's no delayed gratification. But also, you did have certain traits. You enjoyed cleaning the room. You said you're detail oriented. What better trait is there for detailing and being detail oriented? I mean, these are things for you. You like being neat, you like being tidy, but your house looks great, right?
Yeah, I think I need to fire my house cleaner because I clean my house like 2 days a week and I pay her $300 a month. I'm like, I already do it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
This is great for people who have those traits as well, which a lot of people do. And it's hard to say, like, how can I make money without other than cleaning other people's houses? Well, clean their luxury cars. And then this opened up another point, which is first of all, you get amazing networking opportunities. How many amazing people, like the one who connected you and I, have you met just by detailing nice cars?
a lot. So the first 6 months of my business, the first two customers that I met that were super successful. One of them is an online fitness coach, still on our biweekly schedule. We're actually servicing her car on Saturday. Three cars actually. She's a Lexus, a Z06 Corvette, and a brand new M4 Competition. So copied me. I just bought my M4. But anyhow, that client, and then I had a client as well that was on our monthly schedule who owns a local cleaning company. And so those two connections, he's a commercial cleaner. Those two connections helped me throughout the entirety of my career because that client that owned a commercial cleaning company, well, that's a local business that has to market to other local businesses, that has to sell services locally. How much did I learn about him from local marketing? How much did I learn from him about networking and building relationship with local people? How many people did he connect you with that are clients of his that wanted to get their cars cleaned as well as, part of their monthly schedule? And then the online fitness influencer. This person has 1 million followers. I learned a lot about content from that person. I remember I would detail her car, and then afterward, I'd go into her house for like 30 minutes afterward. She'd give me a water, hot summer day in Texas. Here's water. Let's talk about content. It's like, hey, I want to do that. What are your tips on X, Y, and Z? We'd stand in the driveway. She'd show me here's how to film this about my car that you just did. And so those two connections were so pivotal early on because at 16, I was networking with millionaires.
Yeah.
What other opportunity can a 16-year-old network with millionaires? I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
So that was super, super helpful for me.
So there's a massive psychological impact from just surrounding yourself with wealthy people, especially at a younger age. And so they say that you are the average of the people that you spend the most time with. Well, in reality, you're the average of the people that you compare yourself to. And when you meet these people rather, you kind of realize they're just regular people like you and me. There's nothing special about them. They're not geniuses. In fact, a lot of these people that sold their companies for hundreds of millions when I was an investment banker, you're kind of like, how did you figure this out? They seem a little bit off sometimes. And so if they can do it, you realize I can too. And that they are no different or better than you or me, no matter where or how you grew up. And so the actual number one predictor of success is not demographics. It's not if you're white or black. It's actually where you grew up because that gives you a feeling of what you compare yourself to. So the earlier you start intermingling with wealthy people living in wealthy areas, or at least exposing yourself to things like this, the sooner you'll realize, okay, they're not that special. I can do this. You become in their circle and you realize and you feel deprived of not having that. And so this combination of psychological effects pushes you in ways that you would not have been pushed before to create that lifestyle for yourself. It unlocks this part of your mind that you never had before.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. In terms of flexibility, when you're just starting off, I don't think I think we got a little bit sidetracked in terms of time. I think we talked about how much time how much time it takes to start when you're starting off, but then what was the path to kind of scaling down to passive income for you?
Mm. So one, it was having an employee that could go do the jobs for me that was reliable. And then I would sit in the car and I would build systems and
Mm,
documentation for what he was doing. And so if you teach one person how to do something, that's great. But if they quit, you're going to have to teach somebody from scratch. And so once you start freeing up a little bit of time, the best use of that additional time is to build documentation. This is what this detailed procedure looks like. This is how we service our customers. This is how we do this, 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 this. Boom. Now you have a standardized training manual that you can then give to the next person, the next person, and the next person. And so that was my initial focus. And then it was figuring out how to outsource sales. And so
mm,
hired a sales rep last summer, didn't go well. Hired one this summer. She's been with us for almost 6 months. And so it's kind of just replicating the same thing. And so now I've freed up most of my time that I'm really working on filming new ads, building better marketing campaigns. What does our funnel look like? Those are the things that
mm,
I'm paying the most attention to.
It's amazing that you figured all this out at such a young age. Building systems is the critical key to unlocking scale and passivity. Otherwise, you will have to do this thing forever. To earn more money, you have to wash more cars, unless you can scale. And people struggle with that. And it's not for everyone. Some people don't know how to manage people, some people don't know how to build systems, some people don't have the organization. So, this is kind of a transition into my next question, which is for building a detailing business, someone who's like trying to figure out if this is for them to build as a foundation, who is it for?
Yeah, absolutely. This is for someone that doesn't know what opportunity to pursue, because that was me. I didn't say, "Hey, I want to go wash cars." Like that's so exciting to me. It was, I want to have a business and build a foundation to, I mean, quite frankly, when I was 16, it was, I want to be like the guys that I see online that make money. Simple. They have the flashy cars, they have the fun lifestyle. I want to be like that. And then I look into their business models and they're all e-commerce, they're all crypto, they're all something online. And I was like, I have zero of those skills. And so then it was a YouTube search of businesses I can start with no skills, businesses I can start with less than $1,000, mobile detailing. And so, in my opinion, this business model is for someone that doesn't know what opportunity to pursue, but they know that they want to have something of their own. Because there have been students in my program that started out as detailers that now have product line companies. Started out as detailers, now they sold their business and they're in real estate. These
mm,
things have happened. They didn't know where to start. They started something just to get momentum. And then that momentum created cash flow, created
Mm,
connections, and gave them an opportunity to truly learn what they wanted to do. And now, once they knew what they want to do, like real estate, you can't start real estate with $500. Maybe Grant Cardone thinks you can start real estate with $500. I don't know. I think I've heard that. But you can't start real estate with $500. So start something now, get momentum. You're going to get money. You're going to get connections. Okay, now you have 100 grand saved up and connections that tell you where to deploy it. Great, now you're in real estate. And so I've seen that path play out for multiple people. It's played out for me. I decided that I wanted to take on an influencer business model, which is not for everybody, but that's what I enjoy.
mhm,
And so ultimately, it's for somebody that just wants to get momentum.
okay, this is really interesting. So, a lot of people are going to compare what should I do if I want to start from zero and don't know what business to start. And those people are usually very attracted to e-commerce and dropshipping, and they make it seem very simple and easy. And I know that Ethan's a great coach and he can take a lot of people from zero to one doing those things. However, the success rate of that is not the highest, and a lot of people fail. And a lot of people do need computer skills that they didn't realize they needed when they start. I think what you said is very interesting about this. You can do it with no skills, but are there any kind of skills or at least traits that people should have in order to do well with this?
Yeah. So I think number one, you have to be a relationship focused person. And so if
mm,
you suck at talking to people, you're not going to build a network from your detailing business and you're just going to go out and service people. And you're just going to make money real quick and you're going to have no long term value for each customer. And so you're really not going to grow. Now, if you don't have that skill, if you're shy, you can train yourself to have that skill. You can
Yep.
learn that skill. And so don't discredit a certain business opportunity just because you don't possess certain skills that are needed for it. If you have the skill to learn, if you are a learner, you can figure those things out. But you're absolutely right about e-commerce. If you want to start a drop shipping business, who are you competing against? Well, you're competing against Amazon for one. and you're competing against every other e-commerce company and every other e-commerce kid that's in your exact shoes that wants to do the same thing as you. Global scale competition as a beginner is very difficult. The detailing space. There is no national chain of detailers. Doesn't exist. There's arbitrage companies. There's companies that act like Uber where you go on and you book and it just connects with a local detailer, but there is no Amazon. There is no name brand detailing company in every city. And so, sure, you might have competition, but you're competing with other local businesses, which is so much easier than competing with every person on planet Earth who wants to sell products online. And so that's what makes it so easy to replicate success in the detailing space.
Yeah, very well said. Great answer, frankly. So we talked about who this is for. Who is this not for?
Oh gosh, great question. I mean, look, I'll give you the standard answer. It's not for somebody that doesn't want to put in work.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely not for somebody that can't suffer through physical labor. Like that does take a toll on you. It sucks some days when it's really hot. It's not. It's not for that kind of person. It's not for somebody that can't keep up with their physical health. If you're not able to sleep and eat clean, you will not be able to perform for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day working outside. It's just not going to happen. Your body's going to fall apart.
All right, great. I think we don't need to dive too deep into that. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So, to detail cars, do you need any certifications or licenses? Are there any barriers to entry here?
Yeah. So some people choose to go through certifications with there's a association called the IDA, International Detailers Association, and so you can go through that. We never did. We took trainings at local workshops to kind of train us on the basics, and so those didn't come with certifications, but they were trainings. There's literally no legal like parameter for you have to have this training in order to offer this service. But I do recommend that you get trained by somebody that's a professional. That way you can offer quality work. Because again, if you don't have a quality product to offer, you're not going to be able to extract a good testimonial. You're not going to be able to grow your company.
And what does that cost?
The trainings that I took were like less than $300.
Okay, and would you factor that into your startup cost in the $500 to $600, or is that on top of that?
No, it's on top of that. The best training you can get with your $500 to $600 is your car, your parents' cars, your friends' cars, people in your network, people that if the job doesn't turn out perfect are not going to be upset with you. You know what I mean? So practice through that way and then roll some of that money over into paying for an actual training.
Okay, yeah. So you could start with $500, but if you have 900, you want to get a little bit better supplies and then
Better head start.
Yeah, okay. So if I were to say Hudson Archer gives a range of costs to start, would it be fair to say $500 to $900?
Yeah, 500 to 1,000.
If I were to do 1,000, all right, great.
Yeah.
And what is a explicit range of time that someone should expect before they can make a profit? And I know we touched on this, but if I were just to give 2 data points, because essentially what I'm doing, just so you know, is I'm documenting all these different ways to make money in a database and giving ranges for these different things: cost to start, time to profit. So if you give an explicit range of time, how long would it take for someone to make a profit? I just invested $500 to $1,000. You said I should be able to break it even on that, and you gave a time before, but give me a range.
A couple details will do it. I think within 2 weeks you should be profitable on your initial investment.
Okay, great. And what's the low and high range?
Low range, 2 weeks. High range, probably 6 weeks.
Okay.
I mean, look, it just depends how much you can leverage your community and your network. If you have 0 friends, it's going to be a lot harder. But if you're part of a community and a part of a network locally, and you can if you can convince 5 of your friends to spend $150 on a full detail, you just made $750. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're talking about weeks, like maybe a little more than a month. This is not a long period of time,
It's not.
especially when you're just buying soap and stuff that you'd keep in your garage. And then it's like, I've broken even on this. Now it's taken more seriously. That's not bad at all.
No.
And when you were getting started, did you just figure it out on your own? Do you follow any creators? Did you take any courses? Did you join any communities? Or did you just kind of figure it out?
So I figured a lot of things out through YouTube, and then I decided to reach out to local detailers in my area asking for advice. And no one took me seriously except for one who's actually a really good friend of mine now. He's a little bit older than I am. He's in his 30s. He's been detailing for as long as I've been alive, since he was, really young, but he's had his own business for 5 or 6 years. And so I reached out to him at the time, and he was so kind and gracious enough to say, "Hey, come ride along with me. Come learn some of the things that I do." And his attitude was, "Look, you're not competition. If I teach you what to do, you're not competition. My customers will always be my customers. Your customers will be your customers, and ultimately build each other up." And so he ended up helping me learn a lot of the tips and tricks on how to actually do a quality job. And then we've become friends ever since. And so he trained our students in our program in January. We flew him out to Miami. His name's Joseph, and he did a paint correction and ceramic coating workshop for us. And he since then has scaled and now has multiple vans, has employees, and he's no longer detailing himself either. And so both won in the end, compared to the other people who I reached out to that told me to, go away and didn't want anything to do with me. And so that's what I did early on. And I did take a course. I did enroll in a detailing course, a business course for detailers, a program like mine, a year and a half after I started when I was struggling to hire employees. And that course actually was what prompted me to make my own because it sucked. So I rolled over and I was like, look, they promised one-on-one time. I got no one-on-one time. The owner ended up cussing me out for calling him out, saying that he wasn't actually, producing the results that he claimed to on the sales call. And so, it was an $8,500 program. And I was like, hey, this is complete bullshit. And so I started my own a year later.
Yeah, we'll have to list your program and his program on my website, and then you
So
can leave the first review for him and a review for yourself as well, and we'll see how
I
the
don't
crowd.
name dropping.
Oh, we'll do it anonymously. It's okay. So true. Um, I think what's really important here is very oftentimes, sure, you reach out to some people that weren't helpful, but very oftentimes people want to help people. And if you have a young, ambitious guy, you see yourself in them when you've succeeded.
Yeah.
You want to help them. And I think you probably see a lot of that today, which is why you have your coaching course.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And also the importance of having a mentor. It's an absolute shortcut. If you try to do something on your own, you're going to make so many mistakes that you don't have to make. Find a mentor, find someone. And people enjoy giving back. When you've hit a certain level of success, you actually get a level of fulfillment. You talk about dopamine. When you help somebody who needs help and they actually follow through and do the things you say, as the person who gave the advice, seeing your advice work is incredibly fulfilling. So by reaching out and asking people to help you, you are, I kid you not, doing them a favor.
Yeah.
So the course wasn't good, but in terms of YouTube, do you want to plug who helped you get here?
Yeah. Oh gosh, a lot of different channels. Luke Wilson, who's a friend of mine, he actually moved to Austin from Nashville this year, and I met him in a coffee shop just randomly. I was like, "Hey, I think I know you," and we talked, and now we're friends. He's got a YouTube channel with a couple 100,000 subscribers, all about detailing. He helped me a lot. I would say that was one of the primary ones. Um, yeah, funny enough, there's not a lot of really solid detailing creators online. And so I decided to make my content in a way that I would have loved to have seen myself. And so I think it's the only plug I'll give because, other than that, there were just some random videos that I saw from different people that put out a couple different pieces of content but weren't super consistent.
No problem. In terms of risk, how easy or difficult would you say it is for a beginner to actually succeed with this?
I would say that the risk a lot of times is tied to the amount of investment you put in it. And so if you put 500 or $1,000 into something, your risk is 500 or $1,000, which is very small. Um, Very minimal risk. There's risk when you start scaling because you could waste a year training an employee who ends up quitting on you and fishing your reputation and taking your customers. There's risk there, but there's almost no risk in being a solo detailer.
Yeah, agree on that. And what would you say the percentage of people who succeed is? And is it different if people start on their own? And is it different if they took like a course like yours?
So I would say our success rate is about 80 to 90% in our program. And so the people that don't succeed, it's, sometimes it's a life event that takes place. Sometimes people have to move cities and start over. Like that happens. Uh, Sometimes people just don't take it seriously. Like I'll have people that pay for 6 one-on-one calls with me that only ever enroll in one call and then I never hear from them again. Okay, that's strange. And that happens for almost any industry. Um, but yeah, I would say our success rate is about 80%. I mean, look, I would say if you're a detailer, regardless of what path you want to take, will succeed as long as you throw yourself at the problem enough times. The only way you fail is if you quit. And thankfully, a lot of the problems to be solved in the detailing space are fairly easy. How do I run Google ads? Okay, you solve that problem, you'll have customers.
Mhm. And then what's the most common reason that people fail?
Again, just quitting.
Quitting. Yeah.
Quitting or not being able to recognize that they have to solve a different problem because it's a different time of year. So if you try the same marketing strategies in the winter that you do in summer, you will fail. You're just not going to make any money. And so you have to be able to adapt and identify problems and opportunities associated with those problems.
Great advice. All right, well, that was all for the main questions about the actual way to make money. We can kind of wrap this up. Is there anything else that you want to say? Anything that we haven't covered?
No, I think that's great. I appreciate your time, Ben. If you want to get into detailing space, I've made it my goal to have as much free information available on my YouTube as possible to not only help you learn what products to use and how to actually do the processes, but also how to grow your business. Because when I started my journey, the only videos I was able to watch was how to find the right products. I saw almost no business content. And so I have full 45 minutes, hour-long course guides available on my YouTube channel for free that deep dive into specific topics on how to actually get customers in different avenues, how to grow your business, how to do all these things. And so if you need that information, it's available for free on YouTube on my channel.
Yeah, could you shamelessly plug any of your socials, your course, things like that?
Totally. Yeah, you can find me on YouTube and Instagram under my name. Just search Hudson Archer. I'll be there on both. Our program's called The Driven Elite. It's application only. We specialize in helping detailers that are already part-time to full-time, like you've already gotten started, made your first $3,000 to $5,000 a month, and then you're trying to scale to your 10 to your 20 to your 30. And then for detailers who are already making $10,000 to $20,000 a month, we have a secondary part of that program that's more of a consulting business partner type relationship where we help you go from 10 to 20 up to 50 to $100,000 a month. And the main things on that is more about team building, building out your procedures, your SOPs. And so that's what we do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I will say, Hudson Archer, I'm incredibly impressed by you, especially the fact that you are young. I talk to a lot of people. I'm difficult to impress. And regardless of however old you are, the fact that you've gone from part-time side hustle and learned how to scale and build real businesses, and the way that you pronounce things, the way that you articulate things, it's incredibly impressive. So great work getting to where you are. And it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. This is the first time that we've actually spoken, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you as well.
Well, thank you, Ben.
All right, guys, that's it.
Perfect.